fancy calculators for this unit and moving forward in this unit. So your calculators, do you have a graphing calculator? If you're quick, yeah. Or you can just sit next to somebody. Be quick. Your calculators can actually do all the graphing for you. So when we give you an equation, you can just punch in your calculator, and your calculator will give you basically all the answers. Not planning on giving you a test without calculators. That's something I've done in the past, so that you still have to do it by hand. But if you got the calculator, you might as well use it, right? So most of your calculators should look like this or this. Right? All the buttons are still the same. So along the top, what you're going to see is a y equals sign. This sign. Click on it. Click on the y equals. And it should bring you to a screen that has y1 equals, y2 equals, y3 equals. It's going to look a lot like this thing right here. Everybody popped up to that? Your plot 1, your plot 2, and your plot 3 should all be blank. They shouldn't be lit up. Is anybody's lit up with a solid box? Perfect. Okay. The next step is you take your equation from a question. So that's our equation right there. And you just literally type it into your calculator. Now, some important things to note. Your minus sign right here on the far right is not a negative sign. It's a minus sign. Your negative sign is down here in brackets. You have to use that for this negative 1.25. If you use a minus sign, it's not going to work. Use the negative sign. And that kind of goes for anytime you're doing math. So some of you guys have done like x to the power of and hit minus 2 and it doesn't work because you have to hit negative 2. Question? For the x, that's a good question. So top left corner, you'll see a button that says x, t, theta, and lowercase n. You click that, that'll bring you an x. Yeah. So type in that equation, negative 1.25x plus 15. And it should look exactly like that in your calculator. Josh. Don't do that. Those letters are for different things if you're doing other things, so don't, just keep with X. Don't confuse it. Yeah. These, yeah. Boris.
I'm scared. I just turned on my calculator and it was like a Y everything. Like, did you sneak it from the calculator?
No, Maya just hit that button. Maya.
Is in a black box.
Your Y equal sign is in a black box? That's a good thing. So that black box around your Y equal sign is actually turning on and off that Y equals. So it should be in a solid box like that. See how it's a solid box around the equal sign? That's a good thing. If that's not solid and it's blank like these other ones, it won't work. Yes, Hannah?
There's like 6 lines.
That's okay. As long as they're empty, you're good. So there's nothing there. Then go delete everything out of it. Josh?
Have you if you have like that crosshairs, are you supposed to have that when you put a graph?
Okay, just wait. We're on this step right now, right? You gotta wait. I know, and don't. Okay, is everybody good now? Alright. The next thing you do is push graph, which is this top right button up here. When you hit graph, some of you are going to get things that don't look like this. In fact, most of you probably aren't going to get something that looks like that.
I got that.
You did? Perfect. If you got that, that's wonderful. If you didn't, I'm going to talk you through it. Error quit.
Yeah, I did that too.
Okay. Those of you who got error quit, I'll help you out. Put your hand up if you got error quit. 4 of you guys? Okay. Okay. Get error quit. Okay. Yeah. Go back to it. All right. If you didn't get a graph that looks like that, if you got one that's really zoomed in or really zoomed out or somewhere else off on the graph, yep, and some won't even have anything on it. Mine is just, it's right on the very left side of the screen and then it's kind of blank. The difference is it's where you're looking on your window. So, you know how we always draw graphs like this? This is our Cartesian plane. That's what that's called. It's called a Cartesian plane. Your calculator zooms in and out on certain parts of this depending on what you have it set to. So mine is set right now to zoom in and just show me this area. Others of you might be zoomed in to see just this area. What we want is we want to see 10 up, 10 to the right, 10 to the bottom, and 10 to the left. So we want to see that area for this question. Yeah. What is it saying when you get graph? Just a graph. Yeah. So, and some of you, so if you got like a really tiny, you can barely see the line, it's really tight against the Cartesian plane here, it's because your calculator has zoomed really far out, and it's showing you like this. So each little tick is like 1,000, instead of just 10, 10, and 10. So what you guys need to do before you ever graph something is you need to set the window to zoom to where you want it to zoom. To do that, you click the window button. So your second button in on the top, it says window, click it. If you click that window button, you should get this. Hand up if your calculator says error quit when you hit window. Hand up. Everybody else got this when they clicked window. Nope, it won't be the same numbers, but it'll say X min, X max, X scale. Yeah, and some of you, so these are the default numbers. Yeah, so some people get these numbers by default, and others will change over time through just messing around with your calculator. Yeah. So, your X min is telling you how far left you want to see on the graph. So you want to see -10, so punch in -10, and that'll bring you out here. If you put the X min at, say, 20, that means the very minimum value you would see is over here. That makes sense, right? It's the lowest value you're going to see on your graph. Your X max is the largest value you're going to see on it. So, what we want to set to,
Like her numbers, like are exactly the same numbers.
oh yeah, don't worry about that. We don't need to worry about that. It's different. Okay. So go ahead and try setting all these numbers so that we want to see -10 all the way to the left, +10 all the way to the right. What's the scale mean? The magnification of it? It's yeah, it is the magnification of it. Different way of putting it though. So when I tell you on a test, what's your X scale? So when I ask you on a test, what's your X scale? You're probably going to want to know how to do this. So I'd probably pay close attention to this. There we go. Your X scale, guys, is how you're counting up. So if your X scale is 1, you're counting up by 1s. If your X scale is 2, you're counting up by 2s. By 100s, you're counting up by 100s. So if you're talking about doing a graph in millions, Would it make sense to do an x scale by 1?
No.
No, that'd be stupid, right? So you have to be able to come up with reasonable x scales when you work with questions. You're going to work with a lot of questions about house value, car value, so you're going to be able to set your x scale to 1,000 or 500 or whatever actually makes sense to the question. This one we do x scale 1. That means we want to count up by 1. Your y minimum, that's the very bottom y value you want to see. Your y max is the very top value you want to see. So you're saying that's a negative 10 and 10. Your y scale is the same thing, just how you're counting up and down. So remember our car question from before? It was the valuation of a car. Our x's went from 1 to 15 or something like that. So we probably want to count by 1s. But our y's went from 0 to 20,000. So we would want to count our y's by 1? No, you'd want to count it probably by like 500s, maybe 200s. Somewhere in there, right? So you can adjust depending on the question. This one, we're just doing it by 1. And your x resolution, just always leave that as 1. Just don't ever touch it. X, R, E, S should always equal 1. Some of you have another button that says triangle X. If you have that, always leave it blank. Just clear it out. Delete it. Okay. Now that you've done that, hit graph again. We should all now... Error? Okay, if you got an error, put your hand up if you got an error. Just you? Reagan, you got an error? Your graph should now look exactly like that. It doesn't? Put your hand up if it doesn't look like that. Hand up if it doesn't look like that. Gabby? Does it look like that? It does? Good. Who doesn't? Just you two? You three? Okay, so Klein has stumbled upon a common issue. The common issue when you're setting your window range. Your x minimum value has to be what to your x maximum value? What would make more sense? It has to be less than. So if your x minimum value isn't less than your x maximum value, it's going to confuse the calculator. It's trying to set your left line of the window on the right side of the window, so it's not going to work. So I switch your minimum value to negative 10, and you're good. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Any questions on how to set graphs up? Beautiful. I think we're all on the same page now. So, let's move back forward. How to actually write this down as a question. So when it asks you for your window settings, you're not going to want to write out this big chart, right? Waste of time. So we have an actual setting that we do. This is when you use square brackets. Remember how we use squigglies to do our other ones? To set your standard window notation, do a square bracket. And you go the minimum, the maximum, and then the scale. So what does our y say for our y values? What does that tell us down here? What does this actually say if we were to read it out loud? What's that information tell us, Liam?
At the bottom of the y is at negative 24%.
Yep. And it goes up by 1. Perfect. So, two things. When you do a question, it might ask you for your window notation. You're going to have to write that out. Second scenario is they're going to give you a window notation like that, and you're going to have to be able to punch it into your calculator. So you'll have to be able to read that really closely. Josh, I'll come take a look at your calculator, I bet. I think there's something wrong with it. Those of you who have issues with your triangle button, there's I think like 3 of you in here. We'll figure that out. We'll take a peek. Okay? I'm not sure why it's setting up like that. There has to be something in the settings. All right, let's take a look. Keep on going. So, what would be an appropriate window setting for a question? It's easy to just say, let's do an appropriate window setting, but you need to know how to do it. So, what kind of things do you want to see when you're graphing? You want to see what? You want to see the line. Yeah, that's going to be useful. What else is going to be useful? Yeah. The intercepts. So you're going to want to be able to see the x-intercepts and the y-intercepts, because that tells us a lot about a graph, right? And if it's a curve, you're probably going to want to see the top of the curve. If it's a wavy line, you might want to see a little bit of that wavy line. We're dealing a lot with straight lines and single curves. So, for this question, how would you figure out the window settings? If we want to see the x-intercept and the y-intercept, how do we figure that out? This is from 4.2. So this is what your quiz is going to be on. Josh?
You find it because it's where you are on your y or x axis.
Right, but we don't know what it looks like yet. So how can we figure out x and y intercepts without having the graph? Kayla?
For y, you have to like isolate x.
Exactly. And what has to be equal to what? Something has to be equal to, what has to be equal to 0? So to find the y-intercept, x is equal to 0. Right. Okay, so let's do it quick. First example. Try it on your own and see if you get the same answer. Try to find the x-intercept. So try to find the x-intercept on question 1. Okay. No. No, sorry. I put it out there in a lanyard. That works. Okay. So if you're looking for x-intercept, you set y equal to 0, right? Is that what we're looking for, our x-intercept? Yes. So you change y to be 0. It's equal to negative 1.25x plus 15. Then you do reverse of BEDMAS to isolate x by itself. So the first thing you want to do, if you're looking at this right now and you're like, this is a struggle, you are in trouble. You need to come in for extra help. And I'm not here a lot this week or next week, so you need to set up some times. I'll be here today after school, tomorrow in the morning, but only for a short period of time. I'm leaving at 8. I won't be here tomorrow after school, and you'll have your quiz already tomorrow. So if this is a struggle, you need help. Come get help. Okay. You got to take your 15 over to the other side by subtracting 15 from both sides. So now you have negative 15 is equal to negative 1.25x. And then how do you get rid of that multiplication? Divide what, Josh?
15 divided by 1.25.
Yeah, you divide both sides by negative 1.25. It's a bit of a review right now, so you guys can jump right in with this. These will cancel out. What's that give you in your calculator? What is it, Aaron? Right, so x is equal to 12. So if we wanted to see our x-intercept, what do we have to set our window to, Hannah? Negative 12? Could you divide by negative 1.25? Yeah. So if our x-intercept is at 12, so on our graph, it's all the way over here, right? We need to set our window so it looks at this area. So your x maximum has to be bigger than 12. See that point? Your x maximum has to be, say, 15. So here. And you know to see your y-intercept, your x minimum has to be at least less than 1. Right?
to go on forever, like, whatever.
It's going to go, yeah, it's either going to go like this, we don't know yet. Like this, or like this. We don't know yet. It's going one way or the other.
Tell about the positives and the negatives.
Can you tell by the positives and the negatives?
Yeah, but
For sure you can. So, if those of you who remember slope, you gotta talk a little slow. No?
oh,
If you ever set up y equals something like this, that's in that format,
Oh yeah, no.
the negative sign tells you that it's sloping downwards. If it was positive, it means it's sloping upwards. Those of you who remember that trick. The other way to do it, Matthew, is to calculate your y-intercept. So, you should be able to punch into your calculator what your y-intercept is, calculate it the exact same way, and find out that it's going to be up here. And then set your window accordingly. Make sense? Any questions about how to set your calculator properly? Yeah. The rest of this unit is going to basically live and die on you being able to put that into your calculator. So, if you miss the beginning of this class, just stay or come after, ask questions later, and I'll show you.
Already.
Perfect, yeah, perfect. And if you're struggling with this, please get the help before the test. The worst thing you can do is be reactive, fail the test, and then come talk to me. Because then you have way more work to try to catch up. Okay. If you ever put in a graph and you can't see anything, there's a zoom fit button. So, if you click the zoom button right here on your calculator, and then you go down the list, all the way to number 0, you see zoom fit. Hit enter on that. And what did it do to your graph? It readjusted it, right? So now you should see a graph that looks on your calculator. You should see this. You don't really have a bottom line, and you should see the line going through like that. Right? When you click zoom fit, it should look something like that. Yeah, I'm going to come take a look at yours. Click your window button. And you'll see that by clicking zoom fit, it automatically adjusted your window settings. It should have changed your Y min to 2.5 and your Y max to 27.5 or somewhere in those ranges.
Mine was negative 3.75.
Okay, yeah, so the zoom fits aren't going to always be the exact, so somewhere near that range. You got negative 3.75. Did anybody else? You got 2? Yeah. So your zoom fit is a good little cheat if you're really struggling on what to set your window at. Now, your graph, the reason why I'm saying these graphs are so helpful is you can find x-intercepts and y-intercepts just by using your calculator, rather than doing it all by hand like that. So, to find your y-intercept, you're going to go second trace. So you have a trace button up here. Go second, the yellow button. Some of you guys, I think it's a different color. Blue button. Second trace. Go second trace. You're good. Just hit second trace again if you mess it up. And you should get a window that says calculate on the top, and then value, 0, minimum, maximum, intersect are the list of things. You want to click value, so hit enter on value. On the very bottom of your graph, it says x equals, and it should be flashing. Do you see that? What you get to tell it is what you want the x value to equal. So if you're looking for the y-intercept, what do you want your x to equal? So click 0. 0, enter. And now on the bottom, so on the graph, it's giving you the point. You should see it light up on the point. And on the bottom, what does it say? 15. So the y-intercept is at 15. This calculator just did all that math for you real quick. Yeah, it's going to make your life 10 times better. The problem is that'll only work for if you're looking for a y value. Because you can only set the x value. There's nothing to set the y value. Does that make sense? So if you want to look for x value, what you have to do is go back into your graphic. So go to the y equals button again. And what you want to do is you want to set it equal to whatever you're looking for. So if you're looking for where x is equal to, y is equal to 2, then make that your y2 plot. So set y2 is equal to whatever you're looking for. Let's say we want to look for, let's do 0. Do y2 is equal to 0. So your second one should say 0. I'm going to go back a couple slides. So this is what I'm talking about. Your y2 box. You want to set it equal to 0. And then hit graph. And nothing changed on your graph. Where does y always equal 0? On this line. That's where y is always equal to 0. But most of your calculators aren't showing that line anymore. And if they are showing that line, you can't even see it. So because we've graphed a new line, you have to resize your window again. So go into your zoom. Do your zoom fit again. And it should now readjust it so you can actually see your x-axis. So, on your graph, there's a line along your x-axis where y is equal to 0. There's a line right here. You just can't see it. But we're going to use that line. And here's how we're going to use it. Your calculator can tell you where things intersect. So we're going to take our graph. I'm going to draw one top of it here for you. So you guys have a better idea what's going on. So, you got your graph. And it's looking something almost like this, right? So you got, right? And you've got a line that's cutting through up here at 15, and you can't even see where it's cutting down here, can you? On your calculator. So what do we need to do? We need to adjust our window. Because the zoom fit didn't give us that. So on your window, change your x max to be 20. And then go back to your graph. And now you should see something that looks like this. It actually stops right here. You go at that point. You've changed your x max to be 20 so you can see this point. Okay?
I can see my point.
You're good. You were good. Red marker. So, these calculators being black and white, you can't see that you've drawn another line right here. But you have. You can't see it, but it's there. So if you want to figure out where y equals 0, you can find out where these two things intersect. And your calculator can do that. So if we want to figure out our x-intercept, we have to figure out where those two things intersect. And to do that, you go second trace, just like you did before. But instead of setting a value, what button do you think we have to push? Intersect, yeah. What are the odds? So go down and click intersect. And, you know. Yep, exactly. And that's what we're going to use right now. So, when you click that second calc, and click intersect. When you do second calc intersect, it should bring you a graph. And on the bottom, it should say first curve, question mark. Does it say that? First curve, question mark? Okay. First curve, question mark. I'm going to talk you through what that means. What it's asking you is this the first line you want me to look at? And right now it's pointing at that line, right? Right about here. And that is the line we want to look at. So hit enter. Hitting enter is basically just saying yes. And now it says second curve, question mark. And if you move with your arrows, left and right, you should see a little dot along the bottom moving. It's right along your x-axis. That's the point that you're actually looking at on that second curve. So that's showing you, yeah, you're on your second curve. Hit enter again. Yep. So on your, when it said second curve, question mark, hit yes. Hit enter. It's giving you a guesstimation. We don't want a guesstimation. We want the exact answer. So hit enter again. And it tells you the intersection.
What error?
Okay, well, take a look. Did everybody else get an intersection? It should say along the bottom right now, intersection x equals 12, y equals 0. Beautiful. And some of you might say 11.99999. Some of you might say 12.000000. And that might happen. You would just round that up. When it's obviously that close, you round it. All right, we'll take a look. Okay. The next thing. That's how we find our x-intercept. Sorry, that's how we find the intersections in between two things. Another way to find your x-intercept is using the x-intercept button. So that was our intercept between the two things, but it was also our x-intercept because we set y equals 0. Another way to find your x-intercept, go second trace. And your second button says 0. Hit that one. Zeros are your x-intercepts. It's another word for it. So if you ever read on a test saying find the zeros, find your x-intercepts. Click enter on your zeros. And it pops up and it says left bound, question mark. What you want to do is adjust your arrows. So click left on your arrow right now. And you see your little things moving along this line? Okay, what you need to do is pick a spot on the line that is left of your x-axis. So the left side of the x-axis. So we want to pick something anything above here that's left of the x-axis. Pick any spot and hit enter. And then it says right bound, question mark. And you'll also see along the very top, it's made a little arrow. You should have a little arrow up. There should be a little solid arrow somewhere up here. That arrow up there is telling you where your left bound marker was. So it was right here. Your right bound marker, you want it to be on the right side of the x-intercept. So you need to adjust your little dotty thing to get to the right side. So adjust it somewhere down there. And hit enter. The right bound. And if you can't see on your graph past the x-intercept, your graph will keep going. So keep clicking right till you can't see it anymore. What's up, man? Lost? Who else is lost on this? We got a lot lost. Okay. Ready? Okay, gonna do a quick review. This is finding your x-intercepts. To find your x-intercepts, you have to go second trace. It'll bring you back to that screen that said value, 0, minimum, maximum. You want to click 0. So go down to 2 and hit enter. It'll then bring you something that says left bound question mark. And if you move the arrows left and right, you should be able to find a little X that is moving up and down your line. When you find that little dot looking for it, put your hand up if you can't find that dot. You're good? Okay. It's saying left bound. So you want to go on the left side of your x-intercept. All you're doing is you're giving your calculator a range to look in. That's all it's asking for. It's saying, give me a hint of where it is. So you're saying, I want you to look somewhere in between here, the left side, hit enter, and then it's going to give you a right side to look at. So you want to pick somewhere over here. And it'll give you a second arrow when you hit enter. All you're saying is, I know it's in here somewhere. Go take a look. This is my left bound, this is my right bound. Figure it out. And then you press enter again. And you should have those two arrows up top. And it's also saying guess on the bottom. We don't want to guess. Yeah, we want the actual answer. So hit enter again. And it should say 0 at x equals 12, y equals 0. Who did it? Aaron did do it? My controller's broken.
If I have my pocket,
It's a 0. That's what you want. That's time. Okay, wait. What are you doing? I don't know either, so I asked. Okay. We're not done yet, guys. Yeah, it's just going to take a lot of practice. That's why we're taking our time really slowly with this. Yeah, I understand we are. And you know what? It probably wouldn't be so slow if you brought your calculator to class. Because then you could be doing it with us. No. I'm saying you're finding it slow because you don't have a calculator. Because you're not participating. I understand we're going slow, but it's because you need to get this down. Thank you, Reese. So, the other thing I said it could find was maximum and minimum values. That's for when you have a graph that's like this. And you want to find the absolute top value that it could be. The other way is if it's upside down and you want to find the absolute minimum value it could be. To do that, you're going second trace again. And you go to minimum or maximum, and you do the same thing. So you're going to hit minimum, you're going to go to the left side and click on it, and then you're going to go to the right side and click on it. And it's going to guess, and then you're going to say, yeah, that's what I want you to guess. It's going to click again. It's the exact same steps, it's just for the minimum maximum. So your left bounds to the left of the point you're looking for, to the right of the point is the right bound. Okay. In your calculator, graph this. Y equals 2x minus 6. Give it a shot. You're going to have to adjust your window to properly work. It's going to ask you to sketch it by hand. So a good hint of what to set your window to be is whatever the graph is it gave you on the paper. So that way you can just copy it from calculator to paper. Set your window. Yeah. Negative 10 going up by 1. And then negative 10 to 10 going down and up by 1. That's changing. What do you want it? Okay, well, so let's go. Next new one, we want to be so variable that's why it's So, your graph should look like this. There's a point here that it crosses, and there's a point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and then just connect those points. That should be the graph you got on your calculator. So we've sketched the graph. To sketch a graph accurately, you need to find some points. You need to find this point and this point. And you need to use a straight edge. You need to actually do it. It's got to be proper. No, on a test or assignment or anything from this point on, it's got to be proper. You want to mark out those 2 points, clear as day, and then connect them. If you just looked at that graph and were like, yeah, it's like this, that's not good. A sketch isn't just a guess. It's got to be a lot more organized than that. Taylor. You got a different one? Okay, then if you didn't get this graph, your y equals was off. So I'll come around and take a look at it with you. It should be 2x minus 6. What's an appropriate window for this? And how do we write that, Dawson? What's our appropriate window? The x values would be in between what? Yep. Yeah, exactly. So, your appropriate window, you go x. And you put the minimum. You put the maximum. And then you put the resolution. Which bracket? Right, we use square brackets to do that. So if you look at slide 2 on the first page, at the very bottom, it's x dot dot and always square brackets. Yeah, what's up, Matt? The resolution or the scale? No, it won't always be 1. That's what I talked about. If you're graphing something in the 20,000s, I don't want you doing a scale by 1.
You want to go by?
Yeah, well, whatever you would actually draw it by hand. Are you going to draw out 20,000 points? No. You're going to draw out like 20 points. So you're going to go up by like 1,000. Okay, what are your y values then, Dawson? Same thing. Still the same question. Determine the value of y when x equals 10. How do you find values for when you want to set x? In your calculator. It's not a long process for this one. Finding y values is the easiest thing you can do in your calculator. All you have to do is go second trace, and it says value. Yeah, I want to find a y value, so hit enter. And then it says on the bottom, x blinking. We want x to be equal to 10. So put 10 and hit enter. Didn't work for you? Try again. So go second trace. Yep, you have to have your y equal to 2.
No, it's so good.
Okay, those of you who are having difficulties, I'll come help you after. 14 should have been your answer. Okay, why you have to write that in there. Just wait, I'll answer your question in a second. But everybody's listening. Taylor's got a question, guys, and I'm trying to answer it. Aaron says that your y value should have been what, Aaron?
14.
Beautiful, and that's what you should have got. Okay, Taylor, how do you determine the value of x when y is equal to that? You have to go to 0. So zeros tells you where the x-intercepts are. So if this happens to be the x-intercept, that's perfect. But it might not. To find an x value when you're setting y, what are you doing?
Can I go to y equals, so put 8.75
Yeah.
x, second trace, and then change x to 0.
And do nope, and then go set trace and then find intersect. Right. So you got every other step right. So you have to set y2. You have to draw a second line into your calculator at 8.75. And then graph it, and you'll see that you've got a second line going through here at 8.75. You should have drawn one. And now you want to find the intersect of where they hit. And to do that, you go second calc, or second trace. I always say second calc because that's what you're actually opening up. Second trace, and use the intersect button. And that's what it says, first curve, and you're like, yeah. Second trace, and then intersect. The first curve is just whichever one it brings you up. If you only ever have 2 curves, you won't have a problem. If you got like a whole bunch of curves on your issue, that's when you're gonna have issues. So, okay, everybody slow down. You go to y equals, so that top left button. You made y2 is equal to 8.75, because that's what we want to figure out. You hit graph, and this should pop up. That's how you know you did it right. There should be a second line there now, right? Okay, now, ready? Go second trace. Do it in a kind of. Okay. The 5th button is intersect. Go down to intersect and hit enter. And it should bring this window back up, and at the very bottom it should say first curve question mark. And it should be blinking somewhere along. Mine's blinking down here right now. But you should see a little target blinking somewhere on one of the curves. Whichever curve is fine. Hit yes, so hit enter. And then the blinky thing should move to the second curve. So my second blinky guy is up here now. And that's on the second curve, so that's good. So hit enter. And it says guess. Hit enter again, and it'll give you the exact value. You should find that x is equal to what? 7.375. Did everybody get that? Did you do it? Tried? Still missed? Okay, I'll come to 7.28? That's okay. Error? Okay. The x and the y intercepts you can calculate. We already found we can find the y-intercept by just setting x equal to 0. You can find the y-intercept by using your zeros button. Determine the domain and range. On that graph, What would be the domain? On this graph, so just this line right here, what's your domain? X values, yeah. So what could the X values be?
3 and 4.
Good for the domain? X values could be anything, right? Because this graph goes forever that way,
Yeah.
and it goes forever that way.
Can't list it.
So you can't list it, so you have to use your statements, right? Yeah, exactly. X such that X is an element of the reals. Because it can be anything. That's your domain. Your range. What can your range be looking at that graph? Anything again. So, Y such that Y is an element of the reals. When it can be anything, yeah. You'll see a lot of elements of the reals. Okay. That will do it for the rest of this class.
Alright, sweet.